Hi guys, Dave Wilson here again. Now, another little bench project for you today. And it's an interesting one. I've got here a Masonic ring. Now, if you're not familiar with Masonic jewellery, check it out, Google it. Some very interesting stuff. You see, a lot of Masonic jewellery is designed to change. For example, you can get little balls, orbs, pendants around your neck, and they unfold out to form a little cross. You might have seen some of those. You can get little lockets that open out, and there's lots of symbols that cascade out on a ladder. I've seen pendants, people wear earrings. A friend of mine has 2 earrings, and they look like little drop earrings, but they unfold out to form a square and a compass. And what I've got today is a ring, and it looks like a normal signet ring, but when you press the front, it flips round. If I can do that, I don't know if you can see this on the camera. It flips round and it forms a Masonic ring. It has a square and compass on the back. Now, these things are very expensive to buy due to the manufacturing, because they have to be pinned and have a swivel built into them. And so if you can repair these, and especially if you can buy second-hand ones, which this is, and repair them, it can be quite a lucrative repair job. So this is what we're doing today. This was given to me by a friend of mine who collects Masonic jewellery. And the problem with this ring is it's broken. Okay, there's a crack on the side here and a crack on the side here, and I'll show you with the macro lens so you can see this. Now, what I think's happened is, I think this has been dropped and someone stood on it and bent it out of shape. And then what's happened is somebody's tried to straighten it out with a pair of pliers. And the reason why I know that is because on the side you can see the teeth marks from the pliers. And when they've straightened it out, they've cracked the gold. So on either side of this ring here, I've straightened it round, on either side of the ring there's little cracks, fatigue cracks. So what do we do about this? Well, if they're really bad, which to be honest these are, what I would normally do is I would normally cut both sides at the shoulder and put a new band on the back. Solid gold, solder it to either side and then blend it in, and then that way you've got a nice new ring shank. You might have to send it off to be hallmarked if you do that, because you might cut the hallmark off. So yes, normally if you've got cracks on the ring you would put a new ring back on. But this, as I said, this was given to me by a friend. This job is purely to make it suitable for selling on. So we've got to think about cost here and how much profit there is in it. So this needs to be done economically. So the most economical way of repairing this is to solder the 2 parts that are cracked, and then hopefully we'll be able to make it round, clean it up, polish and refurbish it. So all I've done is I've just given it a quick clean so I can see it better. So it's had 5 minutes in the pittle pot, and it's just had a minute in the ultrasonic just to get any dirt off it. So looking at it now, let's just swing my light over here. I can see the crack that I showed you on the macro lens. There's the crack at the other side quite clearly. Now, there was a line that I saw which I thought might have been a solder joint right at the side. That's now washed off, so that wasn't a solder joint, it was just some line and mark on it, probably from the pliers that somebody's had on it. And what I've also done is I've just popped it onto a ring mandrel and just bent it round, and it's actually quite strong. Okay, now if it was really weak and falling to bits, then I might be inclined to snap it. Okay, literally to break those cracks and then clean them up and resolder them back together. But it's quite strong, so the cracks that are on it, they are kind of superficial. So this is why I put it in the acid and the pittle to try and clean that. So I'm going to give it a go. It might work, it might not, and I'm going to have a go at soldering both of these 2 little cracks just to see if I can repair those. So let's get it set up on the soldering block. Let's get some solder on it. So swivel round and join me down here. So here we are, I've got the ring in the locking forceps here. And what I've done is I've put the forceps right at the side of the joint so I can solder that joint, but I'm not getting excessive heat around the rest of the ring because I don't know what's been done to it previously. Easy solder, and this is 9 carat because I've checked the hallmark. Easy solder, and this is of course a syringe solder. Now, one of the reasons for using syringe solder is that it's got built-in cleaners and flux. So those cleaners and flux, when I heat it, are going to flood into the joint and help to clean it. In fact, I'll tell you what, I will just unclip that and I'll just put a little bit of solder right on the edge there and around the other side, so I know that the solder's going all the way through. I can always clean it up after. Okay, so I'll pop that back on there. So, nice soft flame, and I'm pointing it towards that part, but I don't want to get the rest of the ring too hot. I just want to focus on one part at a time. So just warming it up, I can see the flux melting, the cleaners, and that's gone. Now that's gone into the crack there, so the ring is now solid, but there's still a little bit of a crack there, a bit of a gap. So I'm just going to put some more solder on there. So I'm just making sure that the solder sort of comes up level with the surface. There, that's better. Not sure if you'll be able to see this with this lens, but there's the solder joint there, just on that curve there. Looking at it sideways, it's a little bit proud, which is great, which is what you want, so I can now buff that down and that'll be just like new. So really pleased with that. So hopefully now I can do the same on the other side, so let's give it a try. So here we go, same again. So I'm applying tube solder right across the crack. Now I'm going to be generous with this because there's quite a few dings and scrapes around the side. Somebody's had a pair of engineer's pliers on this. Now with this one, this crack is a little bit deeper. It could be where it was originally, the band was originally attached, I'm not sure. So I'm putting some solder on the inside as well. I'm being generous, I can always clean it up, but I don't want to come back and do the job twice. Right. A little bit messy there, but let's have a see. Once again, I'm putting the locking pliers right next to it. Okay, this is easy solder, so I don't need a lot of heat. Now obviously the locking forceps are sucking the heat away, but they're protecting the front part, because there are solder joints on the front where the pin goes through, so I don't want to start desoldering parts of it. So the surface isn't looking too bad now. The crack is almost filled. There we go. So I've got a nice smooth finish on the front there. Just going to okay, so I'm happy with that on the outside there. I think that's fine. Just going to have a look on the inside, and in fact it's flooded through on the inside, so that's absolutely great. And I'm just kind of tapping it round there. Now just a last little adjustment here. I've just got it in the vise, nice and gently. I'm not squeezing it. Nylon jaws, and I'm just giving it just a little just a little twist, just a touch, and I'm looking at it that way, and I'm looking for that band being horizontal there. I don't know if you can see that, but that looks a lot better now. It was S-shaped before. Now to start cleaning up the solder on the back, lots of choices. I could use little polishing tips, I could use some emery paper, but what I like to use are these things. These are needle files. Now I've got quite a lot of needle files, but these particular ones are diamond coated, and these are 600 grit, so these are quite fine, so I can work on the solder without taking too much of the finish off. And these are also great for getting rid of the little scratches, and literally I've just got to keep working that area, filing the metal down around it until those holes and those little marks disappear. Now the more careful you are at this stage, getting rid of all these little blemishes, it really will reap dividends at the end, because when we polish this at the end, the finish that we're going to get is going to be superb, because there's going to be no marks, no scratches, and this ring is going to look like new. So I've got a buff stick here, and this is 2000 grit, so this is very, very fine emery paper, and I'm going to go all over the whole thing. Now these indentations, these need to be sanded out. I think this has been dropped outside, and these indentations are where it's been sat on the ground and somebody's accidentally trod on it. So on the bench pin, piece of, this is 150 emery paper, I'm going to put it down there. Now I need to put my finger inside because I need to stop it from spinning round and rotating, and I'm just going to move that round. I'm just going to keep going, and that is going to file that whole surface flat. So I've taken it up to 1600 with the emery paper, and I just got a little annoying scratch on the front, so I've just torn a piece off there, and just using my thumb, I'm just working that front section there, working on that scratch. So I'm going to give it a 3-stage polish. This is the technique that I've used for years. First of all, I've got some little rubber polishing tips there. So I've gone over the whole ring, and I can tell you now that this ring is absolutely flawless. There is no mark, no scratch, no dent, no ding. It is absolutely flawless. I've just finished up there, I've just gone over the front section just to give it that slightly next level of polish. So we're ready for final polishing. You've heard me mention this stuff before. This is Menzerner IP Intensive Polish, and this is the grey bar. This is a German polish. Basically it's Tripoli, but this is Tripoli on steroids. Fantastic stuff. A little bristle disc, and that's just going to do the front, inside, and get into this area behind the front here. So I've done all the awkward bits. I've polished up the little square and compass on the front there, and I've polished inside it. That is with the IP, the intensive polish. So I'm going to finish it off now with the Menzerner SF, or Super Finish, which is a yellow one, particularly useful for gold. Very important though, I need to clean off all traces of the previous polish. It's something a lot of people forget to do that. So I'm just going to carry on with this now, and then when I've finished, I'm going to pop it in the ultrasonic, clean it up, and then I'll photograph it in the studio, and I'll show you the final results before and after. So that's all for the workshop. Join me in a second to see the final reveal. Can't wait. So I hope you picked up a few tips along the way there and enjoyed spending some time in my workshop with me. I've been Dave Wilson, thanks for watching and see you on the next video. Nothing more remains but for me to put away my jewels and lock away my secrets. See you next time. Bye for now.